Hey staff, this is Pastor Matt. I just want to take a few moments here to go ahead and go over some of the training for Greater Philadelphia Baptist Church, some of the things we covered in our last team meeting. And so if you can go ahead, and I've included for you the handout sheet where we talk about mission, vision, strategy, and then go ahead and talk about some of those core values as well that we have, and be able to go ahead and just jot down some notes there for you and to kind of give a vision for where the church is going. When we talk about vision, mission, our core values, and then our strategy, we'll just hit those for this quarter, and then we'll go ahead and pick up on some of those other items on our training sheet next quarter. First of all, before we jump into that, I want to thank you so much for being willing to go ahead and volunteer at Greater Philly. It's so important for us to be able to go ahead and work together as a team. I can only do so much by myself, and yet when we work together as a team, and you can be an extension of my arms and my hands and legs and be able to do things that I can't do, it goes ahead and allows us to have a wider base of operation. If it's just one person or two people that are taking the load and doing everything, we can only go so high as we seek to go ahead and build the ministry and allow Jesus Christ to build His church. But the wider out we go, the more people that get involved, the more that we can go ahead and see a great and mighty lighthouse here in Delaware County for Jesus Christ. So we're going to talk first of all about our mission. Our mission is this: to help people to be more effective in who God created them to be, and to accomplish all that God has called them to do. One of the things that I'm so passionate about is growing up as a kid, I would have moments where talking with teachers or coaches or adults in my life where they'll go ahead and say, Matt, you'll never be until you do this. And so things like you'll never be a really good athlete until you start doing this, and you never be this kind of person until you do this. And it was so difficult because I found myself constantly trying to do better and be more effective and be more accomplished and do all these things, a lot of activity, to focus there on the word do, as opposed to realizing who did God create me to be, first of all, and then working from there. There's always this constant sense of comparison and pressure to go ahead and do more, to excel more, and incredibly performance-based. That's really a part of our culture and our society today, to go ahead and motivate people to go farther, to go faster by performing. The problem is this: you can't go very far based on how God created somebody else. You have to start and work where you're at. And I am fully convinced that most people in life, they hate their job, they don't like the relationships they're in, they're very frustrated in life because they're trying to do something that God never created them to do. Instead of being who God created them to be, then they can do what God has called them to do. So our focus is this: when somebody walks through the back doors of Greater Philly, my goal is to help them to realize and understand who God created them to be. First of all, that God created them to be in a personal relationship with Him, that God created them to have an incredible purpose in their life. When they get that right vertical relationship and realize who God created them to be, whether it's that they're a very outgoing person, or maybe a more introverted person, maybe they're a type A personality, very driven, maybe they're a more idealistic, maybe they're a fun kind of person where they're just like a party waiting for a place to happen. Or maybe they're more calm, cool, collected, laid back, where they don't like a lot of conflict. Whatever kind of personality that God has wired them to be, my goal is for that person, just for you and for me, to go ahead and live that out in my life. And once I get that set and realize that the people that are around us pressuring us to say, we need to be more like this, and then you can do. And if you do more like what I'm doing, then you can go ahead and be like me. And the thing is, God didn't create two of us alike. He gave us all different personalities, different passions, different abilities. None of us are alike. So our goal as a church is to help people realize, who did God create them to be? And once we realize that, then we can go ahead and fulfill and start to work on what God has called them to do. Whether that's to go ahead and change their vocation, to go ahead and realize that maybe God has called them to a specific type of ministry to get involved with. And so it's so exciting when you realize that I don't have to try harder to do better in life, but I can simply live out who God has created me to be. And when I begin to do that, I'll do all that God has called me to do. That's our mission. That's something that's going to be long-term. We're never going to fully accomplish that until the day Jesus comes or the day we die. In Delaware County, in a 5-mile radius, we have over 500,000 people to go ahead and reach, and we are going to go ahead and our goal is to reach as many people as possible as Jesus Christ will allow us to bring in and help them go through that process, created to be, called to do.